A family redefined. The journey of Tamara and Ethan Hayes. The courtroom was silent. It was the kind of silence that bore down on everyone, heavy and suffocating, amplifying the tension in the room. All eyes were on a small wooden table in the center, where an 11-year-old boy sat nervously, his small hands clasped tightly together. Across from him was the woman who had raised him for the past 6 years, a woman with a radiant smile and rich brown skin that stood in stark contrast to his pale complexion. Tamara Hayes, his foster mother, sat as still as she could manage, her heart pounding as if it might burst. She didn't know what Ethan, the boy she had loved like her own, would say. Today was supposed to be a routine hearing, a simple formality to finalize the adoption. Yet, as the judge invited Ethan to speak, there was a palpable shift in the room. Tamara's breath hitched. For years, she had waited for this moment, a culmination of tears, sacrifices, and hard-won trust. Now, the future of their family depended on what Ethan was about to say. The journey to this day had been anything but easy for either of them. Ethan's earliest memories were a chaotic blur, a mother he could barely recall and a series of unfamiliar faces in homes that changed as often as the seasons. One memory stood out sharply against the haze, however, the night his biological mother abandoned him. It was raining heavily, the kind of storm that made the world seem as though it was falling apart. Ethan, barely 5 years old, had been left at a gas station just outside Fort Worth. His tiny frame was soaked to the bone, his tears blending with the raindrops streaming down his face. Hours passed before a kind stranger spotted him shivering near the pumps and called the police. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of social workers, temporary beds, and hushed conversations he wasn't meant to overhear. Ethan had learned quickly not to grow attached to anyone or anything. In his young mind, people came and went. Promises were made, then broken. He stopped hoping for anything permanent. That all changed when Ethan met Tamara. She wasn't like the others, she didn't see him as just another case in the foster system. Tamara had been fostering children for over a decade, opening her home and heart to kids who had nowhere else to go. But something about Ethan struck her differently. The social worker who introduced them had been cautious. "He's been through a lot," she explained apologetically, as if warning Tamara of the baggage that came with him. "It's going to take time for him to trust anyone." Tamara had simply nodded. Time was something she was willing to give. When Ethan first arrived at her modest 2-bedroom home in Oak Cliff, a historically black neighborhood in Dallas, he barely spoke. He clutched a battered stuffed dinosaur in one hand, his green eyes darting nervously around the unfamiliar space. Tamara knelt to his level, her voice soft but firm. "This is your home now," she said. "You don't have to talk if you're not ready, but I want you to know that you're safe here." That first night, Ethan sat on the edge of his bed, silent and stiff. Tamara brought him a glass of warm milk and a blanket, sitting beside him without saying a word. She knew trust couldn't be forced, it had to be earned. Months passed before Ethan began to open up. Tamara quickly learned that dinosaurs were his favorite thing in the world. She decorated his room with dinosaur posters, filled the shelves with books about prehistoric creatures, and even found a second-hand set of dinosaur action figures at a thrift store. She took him to the Perot Museum of Nature and Science, where they spent hours marveling at the towering skeletons of T-Rexes and Triceratops. But it wasn't just the big gestures that mattered. It was the small, consistent acts of love. Every Sunday, Tamara made him pancakes shaped like dinosaurs. She read him bedtime stories and tucked him in every night, whispering reassurances when nightmares from his past jolted him awake. Slowly, Ethan began to smile, then laugh, then trust. For Tamara, fostering Ethan wasn't just about providing shelter, it was about showing him what unconditional love looked like. Over the years, she became not just his guardian, but his mom in every sense of the word. Now, 6 years later, they sat in the courtroom, ready to make it official. Tamara had spent months preparing for this day, filling out endless paperwork, undergoing home inspections, and meeting with attorneys. She had dreamed of this moment for so long that the reality of it felt almost surreal. The judge, a stern woman with a kind smile and sharp gray eyes, looked down at Ethan. "Young man," she said, her voice steady. "Is there anything you'd like to say before I finalize this adoption?" Tamara held her breath as Ethan stood. His knees trembled slightly as he clutched the edge of the table. For a moment, he stared at the floor, as if searching for the courage to speak. Then, he lifted his head. "I don't look like my mom," he began, his voice barely above a whisper. The room grew impossibly quiet. Ethan's words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. "I know people stare at us when we go to the store or walk down the street," he continued, his voice growing steadier. "They wonder why a black woman is raising a white kid. But what they don't see is how much she loves me. What they don't see is how much I love her. Tamara's eyes filled with tears as Ethan glanced her way, his expression earnest and unguarded. When I came to her I was scared, he said. I didn't think anyone would ever want me. But she showed me I was wrong. She stayed up with me when I had nightmares. She made me pancakes shaped like dinosaurs because she knew they were my favorite. She told me it doesn't matter what people think because love is bigger than skin color. Ethan paused, taking a deep breath as the courtroom hung on his every word. I want everyone to know that Tamara Hayes is my mom, he said, his voice trembling with emotion. Not my foster mom. Not just some lady who took care of me. She's my mom. And I don't care if we don't look alike. She's the reason I'm still here today, and I love her with all my heart. Tamara couldn't hold back the tears streaming down her face. Her heart felt as though it might burst from the sheer pride and love she felt in that moment. Then Ethan turned to the judge. Judge, he said, his voice breaking. I want my last name to be Hayes. I want everyone to know I'm her son. The judge's gavel came down with a definitive thud, her expression softening as she looked at the boy. Ethan Hayes, she said warmly, you are officially adopted. Tamara covered her mouth with her hands, tears spilling down her cheeks as Ethan ran to her side. She wrapped her arms around him, holding him tightly as if she never wanted to let go. Their story didn't end in the courtroom that day. It became a powerful testament to the strength of love and family. News of Tamara and Ethan's journey spread quickly, first through local outlets like the Dallas Morning News and eventually to national platforms like CNN and NBC. Their story touched millions, sparking conversations about transracial adoption, the foster care system, and the true meaning of family. Tamara and Ethan's bond inspired hashtags like #Love Knows No Color and Family is chosen to trend across social media. Letters and messages poured in from people all over the world. Some shared their own adoption stories, while others simply expressed admiration for the love that had brought Tamara and Ethan together. But it wasn't all praise. Tamara had faced judgment for years, even before the adoption. Strangers often questioned her relationship with Ethan, their narrow-minded assumptions betraying their prejudice. Is that boy yours? An elderly woman had once asked her at a grocery store, her tone dripping with suspicion. Yes, he is, Tamara had replied firmly, her hand resting protectively on Ethan's shoulder. The woman had frowned. He doesn't look like you. Love doesn't always look the way you expect it to, Tamara had said, smiling politely as she walked away. Through it all, Tamara remained steadfast. She refused to let ignorance or prejudice define her family. To her, Ethan was her son in every way that mattered. Today, their story continues to inspire. Ethan, now a teenager, speaks openly about the love and security he found with Tamara. Together, they advocate for foster children, encouraging families to open their homes and hearts. In a world too often divided by race and prejudice, Tamara and Ethan Hayes stand as a shining example of what love can achieve. Their journey proves that family isn't about matching skin tones or shared DNA, it's about trust, resilience, and unconditional love. And in the heart of Dallas, Texas, this family continues to thrive, stronger than ever. Thank you for watching this heartfelt story of Tamara and Ethan Hayes, a powerful reminder that family isn't defined by appearances or biology, but by love, compassion, and commitment. Tamara's unwavering devotion and Ethan's courage to share his truth inspire us all to look beyond surface differences and embrace what truly matters, the bonds that unite us. As we reflect on their journey, let it remind us to cherish the families we build, whether by blood, choice, or circumstance. Love has the power to bridge divides, heal wounds, and create unshakable connections. If this story moved you, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories of resilience and hope. We also encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you witnessed or experienced a story of unconditional love and family that defied expectations? We'd love to hear it. Thank you for joining us today. Until next time, let's spread kindness, embrace diversity, and remember, family is where the heart is. Take care and see you soon.